Is this thing working? Are we live? Hey, it looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So, first and foremost, to all of you guys that have given me super thanks and super chats, thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart. Really does help the channel, helps keep this thing going. So, thank you all so very much for that. I don't see all of the super thanks that come through. So, for you guys that have given super thanks on different videos, just know that I really do truly appreciate that. Also, this is your first time hanging out at the show, hit the like button, subscribe. Means a lot. It means a whole lot for the whole analytics thing. Also, for you guys on the front end, just so you know, if you're watching this and you're getting blown up by ads, go ahead and click out of the video, check back in a couple of days. YouTube does this thing where it just throws a ton of ads on live shows and I have to go in and manually remove them. And sometimes that can be a little bit laggy. So typically it's 2 to 3 days after the live show. That's when those ads will be pulled off of there. So at any rate, hope everybody's doing well. Just an open chat tonight. So if you got questions, Mopar related, general car stuff, go ahead and hit me up. I am still sweating. I was just running the hell out of the speed bag tonight. Speed bag push-ups, speed bag push-ups. I actually filmed some of that. And man, I'll tell you what, I need to get back in better shape. But aside from that, still able to make that thing sing pretty good. So that's always fun. If you guys are into that stuff, we can talk about that too. But car-related stuff primarily, although I will say the T595 Triumph project is coming along nicely. Although I will say that it's kind of been a series of 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Not a big deal, but definitely running into a couple of snags here and there, nothing that we couldn't solve. But it's also nothing that shouldn't have been foreseen too. Which reminds me, so if you're working on one of these old Triumphs, the O-ring size, I can tell you what size it is not, even though you'll mic it and it will look like this. It is not an 812-2. It's not that O-ring, the 8mm inner, 12 outer, too thick. It's not that one. It's actually a 7819. So there you go with that. Learn that the fun way. Anyway, got the fuel fittings on the bike. Actually, I'm in the process of reassembling the bike. I am going to get a little bit of street miles on it, maybe this weekend. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. And then I'll go ahead and bring it back to the shop. I'm going to need to pull the front brakes off of it again, pull the front wheel, back wheel, get some tires on it. And then once I get tires on it, I can really start to run that thing around a lot. Tires on it are about 12 years old. So yeah, they need to come off of there quick, even though they look brand new. So, but aside from that, let me check in with you guys. And like I say, it's an open chat, so I don't really have a topic. I don't really have a monologue on this one. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But let me check in with y'all. Red Dog's first in saying, hey man, what's up, Red Dog? Your mom's saying, do you think it's a good idea for someone to buy a Demon 170 if they never owned fast cars before? No, because if you've never owned fast cars before, let me tell you the ignorance that comes with this. And it's ignorance, not stupidity. Cars like the 170, a Scat Pack for that matter, these cars will go from highway speeds to deep into triple digits, like 120, 130 miles an hour very quickly. And if you're not used to that level of speed, the level of acceleration is one thing, but it's the actual speed that kills you. And that's what ends up getting a lot of guys in trouble. So I never would recommend that. Greg's in. Good evening, big guy. Good evening, Greg. Base is in. What's up, my man? Michael's in saying, I like to go evening better. Sweet. David's got thumbs up. Mom's asking, is it fuel range 100% accurate in Dodge Challengers? No, it's not. So I have actually data logged this, and I can adjust some of this if I actually wanted to. But when you show 25% on your gauge, it's typically around 21%. And that's why I always say never take your car to the track on less than a quarter tank of gas. The lower it gets, the more optimistic it is. So if you hit a quarter of a tank, pretty good idea to start driving the gas station. Complex is in saying, good evening, B. Good evening. Mom's asking, will a normal Demon beat a 170 in a roll race? In a roll race? No. 170 is going to scorch a regular Demon. It wouldn't even be close. I mean, it depends on the speed that you're going to make the hit at, though, too, I suppose. But no, there's not a whole lot that the regular Demon's going to be able to do to run with that 170. Mom's asking, what's better, to buy a used Hellcat or a new Scat Pack? You know the history of the new Scat Pack. You don't know the history of the Hellcat. It depends. If you were to buy my Hellcat, you would know all of the history of that car because it's been well documented over the last 4 or 5 years. But if you don't have the background of the Hellcat, probably would be a good idea to stick with the Scat Pack for a few reasons. One of which, listen, the Scat Pack is a mid 11-second car. And this is the funny thing. And this is one of the reasons why I'm putting together a video. And it's just going to be like a normal me and you chilling type video here at the shop. But it's why the Hellcat ruined cars for everybody. It's not the Plaid. A lot of people will go, the Plaid ruined it. No, cars were ruined a while back. And that's with the Hellcat. You can make an argument that, the vehicle that ushered in this, brave new world that we're living in. Well, there's no argument. It's the 99 Lightning is what brought us into this. But the reality is that nothing ran tens, not at least that was as stable, as novice friendly as a Hellcat really is truly at the drag strip. They're 1070 cars and they're listed as a 1085 or a 1087. I can't remember what they were certified at. But all of them, I've never seen a Hellcat not be able to run at least a 1085 or a 1095, depending on the conditions, in good air. Bone stock on a drag pack. So, but that ruined it because I don't want to get too deep into this, but it ruined it because now the Hellcat is really the yardstick. You would build your Mustang to beat the Hellcat, right? Is it faster than a Hellcat? Yes, it is faster than a Hellcat. Okay, that's a fast-ass car. Is it as fast as a Hellcat? No, but it's almost as fast. Really? Wow, man, you've done a lot. That's a fast car. That's the whole idea, is that it was effortless 10-second quarter miles in an era where a fast car had 425 horsepower, 450 horsepower, 480 horsepower. Now it's 700. It's just such a far launch or a leap from where you were before. So anyway, sorry, I just kind of just zinged off there, but I think you get the idea. Road Test is in, my man. Guys, listen, has to be my favorite YouTube channel is Road Test TV. I've got the stupidest crush on his Mustang. It's a big block coupe. So from back in the day, it's a 68, 69 big block coupe. Anyway, long story short, all the old school content, all the old school FAST and that series of races, go check out Road Test TV. It's actually what I'm typically watching. Now, you don't see me comment a lot on there, but believe me, I've seen every one of those videos probably 4 or 5 times. Your mom keeps calling me saying, do you think it's fair to race gas-powered engine cars against electric cars? I think it's only fair when gas engines race each other in electrics. I tell you what, no, it's perfectly fine to race anything against anything else. I mean, if you want to line them up, I'll, line up anything. But the reality is that, okay, so yes, the electric vehicles can be fast, but not all of them are this blistering, 10 and 9 second cars. Most of them are at best mid 11-second cars. So yeah, line them up. Road Test is in the 80s and 90s. You were killing if you had a 12-second car. Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember in the late 90s having a mid 12-second that morphed into a high 11-second Mustang. In fact, it's that one right there, which is on the other side of that wall, as a matter of fact, which I just Tommy Boyed the hood, which I still cannot believe I did that. But yeah, that was that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun back then. Mom's asking if a Demon 170 has 1025 to the crank, how much does it have at the wheels? There's a few factors. It depends on the dyno, and it depends on the dyno, and it depends on the tire that you're running it on. It depends on the gear that you run it in. If anybody runs that car on the ET Street R's on the dyno, it is going to make a huge mess and it's going to wreck those tires. Believe me, ask me how I know. We would never allow cars with those tires on our dyno. In fact, there's just no way. I mean, you talk about eating up about $250 worth of somebody's time just to clean up after that. So, but anyway, frankly, 1025. I mean, if you want to be generous, let's say you put it on a set of loaner wheels and tires, like just for the dyno. I used to keep those around. In fact, I still have my old loaners because nobody wanted them. I was trying to give them away, and it's one of those weird situations where nobody even wanted them. I still kind of stuck with these things that I have since. Where's my calculator on this thing? Let's see. I'll tell you what it'll make. So roughly, and again, this is in really good air with maybe even no correction. You would be lucky on a Mustang dyno if it put down around 860, and on a dyno jet maybe 875, somewhere in that range. It's not that much. It's not that much more than what Racer X's excessive put down to the rear wheels, believe it or not. Road Test saying, when down in Florida, welcome. Come check out the 68 428 Cobra Jet Mustang. Love that car. For some reason, there for a second, I had it in my head as a 69, but yeah, 68. Awesome car. Thank you very much. I mean, it'd be worth the plane ticket to go check that car out. I love that car. Slash is asking, I forgot, are your drag radials on 10 or 10 and a halves? They're on 10 and a halves. Used to run them on 10s. Mom's asking, what car do you think looks better, not counting the performance? New Camaro ZL1, C7 ZR1, Hellcat Red Eye Wide Body, or GT5? C7 ZR1, hands down. A big Corvette fan. Your mom's asking, you use those front skinnies you have as a spare tire? No, I probably would not use those. I mean, if it's on the front, maybe, but I wouldn't put one of them on the back. Good idea, not with a limited slip diff. Because that's when you would have one tire taller than the other, and that would be a bad idea. Now, if you had an open diff, yeah, you could use it, no problem. But, speaking of cars, upcoming stuff that I've got going on, Base is saying, well, 305s fit on my 2021 Challenger Scat without tire rub stock rims. No, I would not run those. Run a 295 45. So you got two 75 45s up front, run 295 45s out back. That's what I run on mine. A lot of guys run those on a 9.5-inch wheel. It fills up the rear wheel well a little bit more, and it looks good. Matter of fact, I had to sit down and think if I was going to keep the 10.5s on the back of that car, or if I was going to go to 9.5s with the 295s. I've actually thought about that. Base is asking, Slash is asking, if you sell your Hellcat, what are you going to do with that Archangel battery? How old is that battery, and how is it still going? The Archangel is actually right here, and unfortunately, by the way, this is how much an Archangel battery weighs. It doesn't weigh anything. This one there was a run of these batteries that had an internal balancing lead issue, and that's kind of the problem with this one. So I've since then, they took really good care of me. I've got a newer version of the Archangel in the car, and it does really well. But this one has a sporadic issue. So instead of throwing it away, I've just kind of kept it. And if I've needed to jumpstart something or whatever, I've got a battery that'll do it. But I was having some issues with it. But they don't weigh anything. They're awesome batteries. And I don't know what the latest is with them. I'd love to see them get back into the mix. Your mom's asking, will the Demon 170 actually get an 8.9? I mean, it's on the tires that I would run. ET Street R's, 305, 45, 17s, I think is what's on that car. I mean, I've run deep into the nines. I've run low nines on that tire, so and stable. I mean, it's not going to be a problem with that. So, yeah, it'll run it on the tire. We're just wondering if the car will actually run the number. Shin's asking if a Pro Charger would be fine on a stock Scat with a Pro Charger tune. Yes. For street use, yes. I would prefer to see you get the Pro Charger and then get a hold of somebody like Pike's Performance and have them dyno tune that car. I like the Pro Charger tune is, I will say it is unnecessarily soft, and that doesn't do you any favors. You'll still pick up power. It'll be about 120 horsepower, but there's areas in that tune where you can have a little bit more. It's more drivability than anything else. The Pro Charger tune to me feels soft. I like something with a little bit more punch under partial throttle, and that's where you can get into a lot of drivability upgrades with a custom tune. So that's the route that I would go. So yes, it'll be safe, but it will not at all be optimized. Your mom's asking, how much is a 707 horse Hellcat supercharger worth if yours was to mess up? Man, I don't keep up with parts costs. I'm pretty sure it'd be somewhere around $2,500, I guess. Asking, would I buy a red Demon hood and put it on my Hellcat? No, I would not. I actually like the Hellcat hood quite a bit. Oh, Red Dog saying drag race is a blast no matter what your car run. Plus, car race people are great to hang out with. Most of them are. Some of them are douche hammers, but for the most part, most of those guys are really cool. I always try to make friends whenever I go to the drag strip. I've never not come away from going to the drag strip without making a new friend. Always try to help people. That's the big thing. Well, used to until my track closed. Your mom's asking what's the difference between a Pro Charger and a supercharger. Pro Charger is just a brand name of a centrifugal supercharger. Supercharging is a verb, and it just means to overcharge the engine with air, meaning that any amount of air over ambient air pressure, barometric pressure, is to be supercharged. So technically a turbo is a supercharger, but in the normal parlance, a supercharger would be like a Pro Charger type setup, a centrifugal supercharger. A blower would be something like a Roots blower, like what you'd see on a Hellcat, which is a twin screw, and then turbo supercharging, which is a turbocharger. Track. You know, I tell you something. I wasn't scared. I was nervous that I was going to screw something up. I didn't want to piss anybody off, but I had been racing for so long in other venues and in other aspects of life, motorcycles primarily. So it wasn't anything that I wasn't already kind of used to. And so going to the drag strip, for me, it was just a different venue, but I was more concerned that I was going to, do something wrong, but I was already pretty well versed coming into it. You got to remember, I grew up in a racing family. So it was a kind of second nature, to be honest. This is stuff that we did. Mom's asking, do you like drag racing or road course racing more? They're both totally different. Yeah, I like certain aspects of both more. I like road course racing more just because it's, you don't have to have anything. We don't have to have anything fast to go drag racing because you're just out there having fun. I like road course racing because it's a lot more forgiving in general on the car. You're not beating on the car the way that you are in a drag race. But road course racing can really do a number on tires. It wears stuff out really quickly. But I'll put it to you like this. If you're into road course stuff, autocross, like what that is, or if you're into actual road course stuff, closed circuit racing, you start to be more concerned with the balance of the car more than the power, really, to be honest with you. And that's one thing that it's difficult. A lot of guys, their ego won't let them get past that. That's why do you think Miatas are so in any given weekend, more Mazdas are raced than any other brand on the planet? And I'm telling you, if you've never seen Miatas go at it, it's freaking awesome. I mean, these guys are serious racers, and they use Miatas because they're very well balanced and they're very evenly matched. And so anyway, you see a lot of these guys that take driving seriously. And those are the guys that gravitate a lot of times to the closed circuit or the autocross type stuff. So Sovereign, here's Johnny. Your mom's asking about a Demon 170 versus NASCAR. NASCAR to annihilate that thing. You're talking about like on a closed circuit. Demon 170 would be doing good up until about 160 miles an hour, and then that'd be all she wrote. NASCAR is a lot lighter, and it is a purpose-built race car. Sovereign's in sub B. Oh, he's got the cadence. Got the flex with the bald guy in the shades. I like it. I was asked, are Camaros better for road courses than Mustangs? Depends on the Camaro. Depends on who's driving it. If it's a 5th gen, I would say yeah. Mainly because, okay, so if you were to ask my dad which cars blow up the most on the road course, because you got to remember, he was literally at that track every single week, he would tell you that anything LS powered is a ticking freaking time bomb. You're just waiting for the thing to just pop. All right. But they're cheap to fix. Mustangs tended to be a bit more robust, tended to be a bit more durable. So from that standpoint, if it were my car, I would probably go with the Mustang. But a lot of the reason why the LS stuff would pop is because they're so cheap, and they're so cheap to modify. Guys would basically build what is in essence a drag racing engine and try to run that thing around a road course at 7,000, 7,500 RPM for 20, 30 minutes at a time. Doesn't always work out well. And again, these are guys that they're a little bit misguided in the fact that the power is not the thing that gets you around a track. Not the way that you might think. You need power, and certain power plants deliver power in different ways. And so you drive the platform that you're driving to suit the strengths of your powertrain, if you will. We're just talking about engine stuff right now. You just drive it to suit the strengths of that engine. You may have an engine with no torque, lots of top end. It means you can cheat a gear up and utilize gearing to flash you out of a corner, hitting an apex, or you can allow that thing to stretch out. If you got a lot of torque down low, you can drive the car that way. There's a lot of different ways that you can drive a car to its strength, but you don't necessarily want a ton of power. It's the other thing is you don't want a lot of power that upsets the chassis and upsets chassis balance. Because you have to remember, if your foot is not wide open, then you're only utilizing torque. You're throttling the engine, which means your engine is inefficient there anyway. So there's a lot of it. I could just dive. You want to type, it would ad nauseum. You get bored with it really quickly if I start going into the whole driving thing. But my dad he would send me texts. Like, this is the last one he sent me was, this is why tire, power versus tire, or power versus grip. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it was a really good video that was outlining, why it is that power is so irrelevant on a road course. But you have to have, you can have a ton of power and just not have enough tire. See what I'm saying? So there's so much more to it. Base is asking, is the front sway bar necessary to run in my Scant? Can it be fine without it? I wouldn't run it without the sway bar. It doesn't weigh anything. In fact, I switched from a Hellcat sway bar to a Scat Pack sway bar for my car, and it does handle better. It doesn't accelerate any harder without the bar. I can tell you that. So I'd say keep it. Mom's asking, if I buy a wide body Scat Pack, can I put 87 octane? No, you never put 87 octane in a performance vehicle. Marco is in. What's up? Oh, I got the flex. Base is coming in. Got the piece with the explosions. Sovereign saying 7K. Yikes. Yeah, a lot of those, man. You'd be surprised. That would not last at Le Mans. Actually, the Le Mans 427 was about a 7,500 RPM 427. Mom's asking, does the Camaro Z01 have the same supercharger and engine as the C7 Z06? Yes. And will the C7 Z06 with the Z01 only because it weighs less? Oh, is it faster? Yeah, that's the only reason. C7 Z06, still one of my favorite cars to drive. Sovereign says, remember the AC Daytona Coupe? It was a 289 and it kicked butt, not super high horsepower, but it had high endurance. That funny fact about that car too, there are a ton of DNFs, which did not finish to the Shelby cars, but it had 427s. It was that the 427s were fast. You could gear them down. So you could just stretch them out a little bit more than a 289. But if you were ever to drive, like my Cobra had a 472 cubic inch big block, and that thing was a freaking nightmare. You want to talk about unbalanced. Had that car had a 351 or a 347, 302 base, which would have been even better, it would have been a far better car than what it was. So, you talk about like the 289s back then, they were about 380, 390 horsepower. And in something that weighs 2,500 pounds, that's kind of the sweet spot. Sovereign saying 87 in a Scat. Oh no. Rift is in. What's up? Marco's saying Turbo Ram still down. Rift is liking the super stock, liking the wide body. Yeah. That's one thing I did notice about the Demon. Oh, so stuff. Y'all are gonna like this. We got enough of the regulars on, so I'll tell you, this is kind of funny. So Orange Crush and I, Orange Crush just got him a new DT Ram, and we were talking about intakes and exhausts and things like that. And I had my sights on it's an intake, it's the engine INJEN intake for the Ram DT. The Ram 1500 DT. And I was looking at that, the BS, whatever it is. I always start getting these totally screwed up. AEM, AFE, whatever. Anyway, the engine really caught my eye because it was kind of like, well, if I was going to design one, how would I design it? And that's basically what I would have done. I was like, man, I think I like this one. So I get online and I start looking it up, and I'm like, well, how much is this thing? And it's $341 and change. And I was like, well, it says free shipping. And so I get on there and I'm going, okay, well, free shipping. Well, how much is tax? And so I was going through and I was like, well, let me see what the cost of this thing is going to be after tax. If it's low enough, I'll go ahead and pick it up because I want to do some more Ram 1500 content for you guys. And I want to get you guys some data on that intake. Because I've had some Ram guys reach out and say, hey, what do you think about this intake or that intake or whatever? So I'm on my phone and I'm going, okay, well, it says, okay, complete order. And I'm thinking if I hit that, then we're going to go to the checkout portion of this and it's going to tell me how much the tax is. No, when you hit checkout, or complete order with engine, it's you bought it. So I have an intake coming that I didn't plan on buying today. And I'm on the phone with him. I'm on the phone with Orange Crush, and we're talking about costs. I said, well, I can tell you that they don't charge you any tax. And he goes, why is that? Because I said, because I got one on the way apparently right now. So anyway, that'll be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to bringing that content to you guys. It'll be neat, although a little bit earlier than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be doing I'll do a bit of an install video for you guys, and we'll do some data logging together and see if it does any good. But let's see. Let me catch back up with you guys real quickly. Sovereign's asking, what's the better engine, a 351 Windsor or a 351 Cleveland? What makes them different? I like the Windsor. Now, if you're talking old school and like a Mach 1, you want the Cleveland. That's the 365 horse solid roller motor. The Cleveland has it's a different engine family, frankly. There are some kits where you could put Cleveland heads on a Windsor, which is unnecessary these days. But the Cleveland just had basically was putting big block heads on a small block. And if you've ever watched Richard Holdner, he did a kind of a series on old school small blocks, and the 351 Cleveland is a legit ass engine. I mean, it makes a lot of horsepower, the most powerful small block of the era. But the 351 Windsor is the corporate 351. They put it in everything. And it's because they put it in everything, the aftermarket just kind of went nuts with the 302 and the 351. And I've had Windsor strokers that were over 600 horsepower, naturally aspirated. It's good stuff. So aftermarket, because of the aftermarket, I'd say the Windsor's better. Mom's asking, if my battery dies in my Challenger, my windows are up and it's locked, how can I open the door myself? You've got a key that you can unlock the door yourself. You just have to unlock it. But you're not going to get in the trunk. Let me just tell you that. You get in, pop the trunk, put your battery charger on your post underneath the hood, pop the trunk, and then put your charger on the trunk or in the battery at that point. Let's see. Sovereign's asking if I Racer X. I knew that Racer X was getting a Demon 170 a long time ago. Y'all forget, he and I are actually good friends. So yes, I knew about that. I had to keep my lips shut on that, but yes. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. Rizak gave up on telling everybody it's a super stock. Mom's asked, what was my first fast car? Define fast. My first car was actually not slow. It was a Dodge 600 turbo that I had done a little bit of work to, and it would hang with Mustangs of the era, but not for very long. It would give them fits. So I guess my first car, but I mean, I've had like fast car. I don't know. Probably that Mustang right there after it got the supercharger. Someone's asked if I've seen Demonology's new charger. I have. Does the new Mustang GT350 have a supercharger? No, it does not. They have 535 in the GT350? High RPM, high compression is why. Oh, Sovereign's saying his brother had a Ranchero with a 351 Windsor. Yep. Those were fun. Oh, Sovereign's hanging out with no, let's see. Oh, him saying Racer Racer X said he did not think they would put the supercharged i6 in the Charger. You mean the turbocharged? Um, well, here's the thing: the platform will take it, and there are rumors right now that platform will be it'll be Hurricane powered, it'll be a hybrid, and it'll be an all electric. It is a true Chimera platform. So at least that's what I've been told. You know, what they're going to eventually do, I don't know. Here's the thing: Dodge is getting so much backlash right now that I don't think you guys realize how hard they've gotten stung by their loyalists. There's a lot of folks that have decided that Dodge is just not right for them anymore, and they've started moving on. And I'm telling you, with the new Mustang, with the specifications of that car, it is amazingly good. So I will just go out on a limb and say this: if they don't put the Hurricane in that platform, they had better find something to put that Hurricane into, and I mean post haste. Conquest is still up for grabs. I would say go that route, but that's just me. Damien is in. What's up, man? Let's see. Oh, I got all kinds of goofy stuff going on my computer here. Hang on. Let's see. Oh, Rift. What's funny about the super stock is that it kind of got a little bit of a kick in the balls with marketing. Early on, the super stock it's the only muscle car that comes from the factory with drag radials, even though the 1320 came from the factory with drag radials. A lot of people at that time they weren't really. That'll tell you something. There's a lot of folks it was kind of declining the interest in the higher end supercharged variants of the Hellcat. A lot of it had to do with price. Mom's asking, does it feel different driving a super stock compared to a normal Demon? And I would say the Demon's got the softest suspension out of all of them. So that would be the only difference I can think of. Scott's asking, 2020 Hellcat straight body with a drag pack setup, serious wobbles through the trap speed quarter mile when braking. No, my car, this thing is stable under braking, like real stable under braking. Couple of things to check. Do you have, I don't know what drag pack setup you have. Do you have hub centric rings? Let me show you what that is. Hang on. So you probably don't need them if you've got the Acorn style. But anyway, hub centric rings, they fit inside the wheel and help to locate the wheel on the actual hub. If you've got like the older drag lights or something like that with a shanked lug nut, you would want to have hub centric rings. These, you don't really need them for those are F5s, but I still run them anyway. Maybe something like that, but you'd notice it vibrating even just as you're driving it if that really were a problem or the case. Check your air pressure. That's the other thing. I know a lot of guys not running the right air pressure. If you're running the SRs, look at your sidewall. They're rated to 95 PSI. I run those at 80 to 85. So just make sure you have the right valve stem in them to be able to manage that kind of pressure. And then rear air pressure. With a radial, you never ever go below 16. And I never, ever go below 18 with those. In fact, I won't even run them any less than 20, to be honest with you. I just, they get too, little bit too unstable. I'll take that back. I've had one at 20 psi. I've had tires like these up around 165, 170 ish miles an hour, and they were okay, but still, I would typically not want to run them that low. But check that out. That would be the first things I would look at. And if it's only under braking and it's a like a rotor shutter, then that's an actual warped rotor. Oh, Ripped is saying super stock all around car. Yeah, they're really good. I like super stock. Himmy Dad saying, I think the i6 goes in the new Charger and next gen Challenger. It's what we're all kind of hoping. Summer saying he'd like to see the Charger body with some kind of an internal combustion. Yeah, I mean, I'll put it to you like this. There's a lot of folks that will not buy electric vehicles. I mean, look at that ship that's melting out in the middle of the ocean right now because it had one or two of the cars had batteries that went into thermal decay and basically caught the whole damn place on fire. That's what EVs can do, man. It's not a pretty sight. And he's saying, not buying anything that's not a V8. I'm down for an inline six twin turbo. I like that kind of stuff, but I want to see it in a cool car. Something I can actually play with. Slash is asking, with 305 Mickeys fit with a 10.5-inch rim on a 2014 Charger? Yeah, they will. Summer saying, Hurricane better get into something. It's complex conquest. Yes, I would jump on that in a heartbeat. Yeah, buying a Black Ghost is pointless. Stupid. The kind of money that they're getting for what is in essence a trim package is ridiculous. There's no performance gain. It's not like you're buying a Grand National versus a T-Type. I'm not a fan of the Black Ghost at all. That means that I believe if Dodge had said they were going to put the Hurricane in a Challenger Charger, then it would have been a better understanding. Isn't that the truth? So Damien brings up a point that I was talking about a while back that, and a lot of us share this same sentiment. I mean, I'm not the one that came up with this idea all by myself. I mean, this is coming from you guys too. You know, if Dodge just said, hey, look, listen, V8s can't do it anymore, but we got this killer 6-cylinder, makes over 500 horsepower. We're going to put it in something, weighs about 3,600 pounds. It's going to be fast. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be cool. It's going to be different, but it's going to be kind of like an 80s throwback type of a sled. That's what we're looking for. That's kind of the vibe we're going with. We've done the 60s thing. We've worn it out, or technically early 70s. Now it's time to bring something back. Just bring back something really cool for the Cold War kids. That's what we're up to. That's what we're going to market towards. I'd just be going, hey, money. I don't need it anymore. Yeah, that's where I would be with that. But the reality is that they're just not doing that, and they're not talking to us. See, the difference here is that there's no communication. You're not seeing any kind of marketing happening here. It's not like they're keeping it in the family either. So what happened with this brotherhood? Like, hey, if you like the Challenger, you're going to love the Conquest. Or if you like the Challenger, you're going to love the Starion. And it's this awesome ass car that does really fun, cool things. Vis-a-vis, you've got the Supra, you've got the 400Z out right now. You've got the Mustang. Don't forget about the Mustang. It's 500 horsepower, and it's the darling right now of anybody that's driven it. So you get the idea. You've got already a built-in, very healthy competition base to be able to play with. It's a good sandbox to hang out in. And Dodge is just slow playing this, and it's so frustrating because People are getting sick of Dodge. All right. I'll be honest with you. I love my Ram. Couldn't drag me out of my Ram. I mean, I'll trade hands over somebody over that Ram. But you think I'm like, with some of the other Dodge products, really like my Hellcat, but I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, Dodge has to come out with something to get me out of the Hellcat because I'm not getting rid of my truck, and the Hellcat would be the only thing that I would get rid of to get this newest, coolest, latest thing. And I'd be giving up this kind of shenanigans behind me to get into a car that is arguably more balanced. Although I drive this thing about once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks, but I try to drive it at least once every week. And at worst case scenario, it's like once a month. So I'm never really fully separated from this car. And I drove it this past weekend. I got to tell you, I mean, it's freaking fast. It's a fun car, but it's well enough balanced that I can play with it. And I'm used to the thing. So I know what the car is going to do, and it's predictable. And plus it's hot. So, it's not like it's making peak power, and tires are hooking up. Those Falcon Azenas are actually really good tires. So there's that. But to get this level of performance, I still got some grease on me. To get this level of performance, what do I have any more on me? It's going to take something. That's an ouchie. It's going to take something with that Turbo 6 that's going to be lightweight. So we'll see what they do. Sovereign's asking, how's the Challenger ride? Challenger's an interesting car, man. The Challenger, how do I explain it? The Challenger does not have the torsional rigidity that the Charger does. The Charger is a more stable car to drive in that respect. The Challenger is very comfortable to drive. It's big. It's got a unique personality about it where you feel like you are in a more of a luxury car. Believe it or not, the Charger feels like a more sporty drive to me than the Challenger does. Red Dog, he's asking about wheel hop. Check your air pressure. A lot of times, guys try to run too low of air pressure. I run mine between 30 and 32 in this car with those Falcon Azenas. I don't try to cheat the air pressure down. So check that out first. And by the way, if you want to put trailing arms on the car, cool. If you want to put a diff brace on it, that's fine. Just make sure it's installed by somebody who knows how to install a diff brace. So it's not overly preloaded, but the reality is, if you try to I put in like a full spawn kit on Shalandra, and that was a mistake. I should have never put that suspension on that car. Damien saying Black Ghost is a joke. Yeah. It's just another sticker package to me. Damien saying fix camber in the rear slightly. You can go with a little bit more or a little bit less, I should say, camber, to bring the tires a little bit more straight up and down. I never did that with this car. I still have the stock, I think it's a degree of camber in it. I know a couple of guys like to drag them into like half a degree, or I wouldn't go 0, but half a degree is, okay, I guess. Sovereign saying you give the Hurricane HO a shot. Yeah. He's saying put a Hurricane in the new Hornet. I'll take it in anything that isn't a 6,500-pound family wagon. Sovereign, yeah. What happened with? Okay, so Sovereign's asking. I honestly thought Roadkill Nights this year was going to be featuring the Hurricane 6. Me too. Matter of fact, that was like the thing, wasn't it? I mean, we didn't both dream that up. It was my understanding that there was going to be a build off with the i6, right? Or am I don't know. I don't think I'm dreaming that up. But that would be cool if they did think of, oh my God, this is such an opportunity. Dodge is a case study in opportunities lost. Dodge to me is, oh, it's like ripping defeat out of the jaws of victory should be on a poster in everybody's office. Like that should be their slogan. How could you not have Roadkill Nights feature the i6? I even went, so y'all heard me back a little while ago. I was saying, look, I'm looking for a Viper to put an i6 in. If I could have gotten some level of sponsorship, I would have done that and took it to Roadkill Nights. And I would have housed fools with that car too. Oh my God. And I'd have kept it a 6-speed. I'd have probably a mid to low 9-second 6-speed car. Can you sell a car that you haven't finished paying off? Absolutely, you can. You just have to come up with the difference if you still owe money, if you don't have enough equity in it. Jeremy saying, what's up, B? Is it me or did Dodge go silent after release of the Charger and the Hornet? Like this went over like a fart in a church while everybody was praying. Listen, it was more like a fart in a sauna. And I'll tell you something, the issue for a lot of folks is that not only did Dodge go radio silent, but they really started to seem like they're backtracking and they're doing everything so far out of cadence. It's like their timing is so far off. It's so far off that it's scary. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Remember, okay, so a lot of you guys are saying, hey, Racer X is getting a Demon 170. I knew about this so long ago. I'm not saying you guys were friends. It's just we're buddies. Okay, we talk about this kind of stuff. In fact, he and I were looking at for and at Demons at the exact same time. And my local, who I thought I was going to be able to get a deal through, that fell through. Had another dealership that I thought I was going to be able to get a deal worked out with. That absolutely fell through. And then I said, you know what? I'm over this. I'm not going to keep trying to do this. So yeah, he and I both would have had 170s at the same time. But here's the thing. When they released that car, they released it or announced, they did the whole reveal, I should say. They announced it so early on. That the automotive ether, if you will, has already kind of moved past it. I think we already moved past it. We're not even thinking about it anymore. We don't care about the 170 either. This is the other thing. And this is my beef with the 170. I want you to, again, I'll if you've heard me say this before, forgive me. Some of y'all might be new, so I'll walk y'all through why I've got a problem with it. And it has nothing to do with the cost of the car, but it does have to do with the cost of the car. It's not that they're asking $96,000 for the car. It's because the car ends up selling for $150,000, $175,000, $190,000, $200,000 plus, that it puts it in rarefied air. It doesn't. There's number one. Okay. Now we're talking about a car that's way too expensive. That's your dealer network, Dodge. Check that. The second thing is that it's a Challenger with half a body kit and a drag pack-ish tire setup. In other words, it doesn't pass the stripper test. If you put that $200,000 car, if you will, next to a McLaren 720 or a Porsche Turbo or any tricked out Range Rover or something like that, It's just another Challenger to anybody walking down the street. And that's it. I mean, yeah, you might know that it's a Hellcat, and then you got to explain what it is. Well, it's not just a Hellcat, it's a Demon. And it's not just a Demon, it's a Demon 170. Do you realize that this Demon 170 can run on 85? Nobody cares. My God, I'm already bored with it. Like, you know, I look at a McLaren that's going to cost about the same, or any of the Lamborghinis that are going to cost somewhere in that neighborhood, whatever it might be. And it's like, damn, that's where you spend your money because it's flashy, right? Like, it looks the part. But the Challenger just doesn't do that. And so it's only, I mean, what are you going to, so what? It's a freaking, anyway. There's that part of it for me. It's the fact also too that it's a car that is catered to only drag racing. So let me tell you what happens when you line that only catering to drag racing car up against, again, a Porsche twin turbo, just pick something. Okay. It doesn't matter at this stage of the game. It doesn't matter. On the street, it's going to be just horseplay with that thing. Unfortunately, I just don't know how sophisticated the traction control is going to be to allow it to play on the street with some of these other cars. And here's the thing. Point number 4 with the 170. One of the problems with the 170 that, well, let me just put it to you like this. In relative terms, you can't afford a 170 and you can't afford a Huracan, and you can't afford a Superleggera, and you can't afford a Koenigsegg. So if I can't afford all of those cars, they all go into the same bowl, the same pool, if you will, of cars that I can't afford. So then you put all the cars that I can't afford onto a world's greatest drag race venue and let them eat, right? And then people say, well, this one's only stickering at $100,000 and that one's $4 million. So what? I can't afford them either way. So what difference does it make to me? I don't care. You can't start arguing price and affordability at $100,000 asshole dollars, man. It's not how it works. All right. So for the guys that can't afford it, and realistically, the trading price on that's $150, right? 150,000. For the guys that can afford that, great. But what happened? But the same guy that can afford that is going to get just fuckered with on the freeway by somebody in a hot rodded pick something. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be some excuse. Like there's going to be a built-in excuse for the 170. And guys with Hellcats don't care. Like, we know that the car sucks as a roll race platform. Most of the guys that want to hot rod a Hellcat for roll racing, I mean, you're kind of already at a bit of a disadvantage because of aero, but you can power through anything. And that's the beauty about Mopars, is that you can make enough power to basically do whatever you want with that car. So I know well, at least I knew of several Hellcats that were badasses at roll racing. So there's that, right? But that's really not the point. There's always a built-in excuse. And that's why, for me, the 170, as bad as I want one or wanted one, the bottom line is that if you're not taking it to the drag strip periodically, at least, if not regularly, you're failing to get the most out of that car. And that's the only place you can really get the most out of it. And with drag strips closing down at an alarming rate, that makes it tough. All right. So that's why, for me, the 170, I tried, I really did, but ain't gonna happen. So I'm saying technically the Hornet has the i4. Yeah, I don't think that one counts. Sommer's liking the way the new Rams look. Yep. Yeah, Sovereign, the Charger to me does feel more sporty. Wayne saying, hey, boss, is it really worth modding a 5.7 to 5 bills? No. The only way I would do that, like let's say you've got a 5.7 truck and you want to put a Whipple on it. I'd say, yeah, that'd be a fun truck because you could get about what would in essence be close to 400 horsepower to the rear wheels. Close to 500 horsepower to the rear wheels, and it'd be a fun truck. You know, it'd make a lot of noise. It'd be a fun, sporty thing to kick around in. If you've got a Challenger that you are just in love with and you have it paid off and you don't really want to spend the money on a scat pack, you'd rather have you just keep your car and put a blower on it again. Yeah, in that respect, I would say maybe do it, but that's only if you are just desperately in love with that car. Otherwise, I would say I wouldn't worry so much about it. Enjoy it as a 5.7. I like 5.7 cars, and just go from there with it. Saying supercharged turbo, just slap it on. If it's me, I would go with I would probably go with the anything Whipple for that thing. E-Force is another good one. That's a Maggie. So those would be the two I would play with. Oh, Sovereign. Yeah, that'd be an awesome way to advertise that engine, but they didn't do it. Jeremy's saying they bet the farm on the EV charger. Let me tell you how well that's going to go over. Damage control in full effect. If they came out with something we're talking about, that would be damage control. Right now, it's just, you know, they're polishing the handrails on the Titanic right now, as far as I can tell. Danny's saying, it's funny how we can come up with business ideas and solutions, yet the head executives have no clue how their heads up their tailpipes. I've been saying that forever. If Dodge ever wanted to be a successful company, all they'd have to do is tune into the show. I give golden opportunities for marketing success regularly on this channel. I really ought to be getting a check cut, Dodge, but they're not doing anything that I'm suggesting, so I got nothing to point at. Damien saying, to the 170, I stopped caring or wanted to maybe see it after the showing, and everybody laughed. And isn't that the truth? So anyway, I guess I didn't finish my point, or maybe I did. They showed it so long ago that everybody has moved past it. Now that cars are starting to hit the streets or hit the scene, people are going, oh yeah, that 170, the new Hellcat, that new Demon thing. What is it called? And then you have to explain what 170 means. It's just, this is what happens when yes men design a car. This is what happens when non-car guys who think that they're cool and have no experience with this stuff put together a car. I'm sorry, but that's how I see it. This is, God bless it, I hate to say it like this, one of the most uncool, not the car itself, but it is one of the most uncool reveals that you could ever imagine. And you say, oh, it was brought in on a helicopter. You want to talk about wasting time. Plus, it was a windy day, and that was a liability that didn't have to take place. You want to talk about how that could have been done infinitely better. And they just absolutely could. You want to talk about, I mean, God, I just don't get it. I cannot understand how a company with the resources and the brain trust that you would think would be necessary to make all this happen could fail so perfectly. It's almost like it's sabotage, to be honest with you. Like, okay, if I was going to ruin a performance brand, how would I go about doing it? Like, I have to still make really cool products, but how do I just flub the marketing and how do I wreck the intros of these cars? Well, this is this is like a case study in that. So, Raisin Brand's in. So I know it's a stupid question, but can you do what is he up to in the shop today video on how to properly put Challenger on jack stands on all four corners? I could. It's actually not that hard to do. On a Challenger, it's very easy. You've got two jacking points in the rear that you would use. And then on the fronts, I usually just use the best ones are the cups. I use hockey pucks all the time, but a cupped jack stand up front where the eyelets are, where the tie down eyelets are on the subframe. That's the good thing about Challengers. They're real, and Chargers too. They're very easy to set up that way. So I might do that. I'll look into that. But not a stupid question. It's a cool request. I like that. It's a practical request too. Summer's laughing at some stuff I said earlier. Damon said it's a race car. Don't let Dodge fool anyone thinking you can get one and just roll down the street and rule like king. I know it. Damon saying, after it's all said and done, we're talking about a $125 race car for the street that no one but people that make it a business move are just rich, even at sticker. Yeah. And Jerry's saying it's just another car average Joe can't own it. That's exactly what I was saying. I mean, and David saying, look, if I could afford a $500,000, let's say, which is like 4 170s, I still would not, it wouldn't be worth it. And here's the thing. If you can afford a $500,000 car, you're not buying a 170. You're buying a $500,000 car, dude. And that's what's up. You're buying the $500,000 car because you can, and because that is a car that will outperform the 170. I mean, it's just there's the performance doesn't just mean straight line acceleration, but in this case it does, right? But the problem is that nobody's seen one run an 890 yet. Just saying. Road Test is saying, well, 170 is likely having the same fate as the GNX. Dealers were charging 2 times MSRP in 87 for the GNX, which was like 30 grand, ended up being $60,000. Regular Grand Nationals were 18K. Most GNXs were mothballed where the GNs were raced. Correct. Jeremy saying just spin underground and use Promon. Road Test saying most Grand Nationals were raced and enjoyed. Most GNXs were covered and have flat spotted tires. It was not that long ago. Let me think about this for a hot minute. Probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, somebody's GNX came up for sale. And it was one of these guys that had bought it, stuck it in his garage, and never did anything with it. Had maybe 10,000 miles on it total. And the car needed a full-on restoration because it was so garage rotted. So, you know, it's if you store them correctly, you can get something out of it, but that's really not the point. And I get it. Most Grand Nationals were run. And I had a neighbor that had one. Remember it fondly when I was a little guy. And I remember that Grand National like it was yesterday, and I loved that car. But you are exactly right about that. And then the guys with the GNXs wouldn't bring them out because Grand National guys would go sniping after them. So we're saying 170 is a specialty car. It's purpose built, does what it's supposed to do, but it's not anything that I would look up to. If I am trying to grow within a brand, I'm not looking up to the 170. It's just not my cup of tea. Not unless I had access to a drag strip and I could actually go out there and accept the challenge of getting the best number out of it that I could get. Let's see. Oh. Wayne saying, thanks, boss. Almost got a laugh out of you. The thing is, look, at this stage of the game, I mean, I could, I don't know. I wouldn't go nuts with a 5.7. Him saying it looks like corporate anything these days. They have to kowtow to the government regulations. Yeah, but I mean, you can still have something that conforms to government regulations with that hurricane, and they're just not doing it. Sorry, saying Tim was pissed at the track cleaners interrupting him. That helicopter blew crap all over the track. Yeah. Man bun baristas might be what they've got over there. It's like, damn, you're so Jeremy. Dodge higher ups is like watching the movie Spaceballs, man. Awesome. Love that. CEO Dark Helmet. Ray's asking 1 jack stand or 2. I would get just 1 on the front, 1 on the jacking pad and back. And again, if you can get the kind that have the flat top that you can put I don't have them myself, but get the kind that are the round top that you can put, like the adjustable kind, where you can put the hockey puck on the top. You know, Himmy, that you've got a good point. It's something I was asking too. Why did they bring the freaking silver car? You couldn't have had some kind of flashy, fun color. What a disaster. Is the Demon 170 the only last call worth buying? No, I don't think so. I like the swingers. I like the which one is the Charger with the Demon wheels, the wide body? That would probably be another one that I would look into, but I've already forgotten all the names of them too. Isn't that sad? Oh, it just sucks. But anyway, yeah, I've already forgotten all those. That's how much I even think about it. It's so out of sight, out of mind for me. The only ones that I remember are the King Dingaling, the Black Knight, the Swinger, and then, I mean, you want to talk about sad. I just don't remember them because they're not interesting to me. And even if I worked for Dodge, I would probably have forgotten about them. So there's a King Daytona here at my local dealership. It's a nice car. You know? Yeah, the Charger with the 1320 pack. What the hell? It's not a Daytona. What the hell do they call that thing? Super B. That's the only other one. Actually, out of all of them, I would probably buy that one. But can't you only get that one in like 2 colors? Anyway, I can't remember. Like I say, I was checked out. When I found out that they weren't going to do something cool, again, I like the swingers, and that's about it. That's about as far as I can take it. But, well, guys, listen, I do have to wrap it up because I got to wake up crazy early in the morning. But, guys, thank you all again. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. Would not do this without you. Love all of you guys. Guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody because chances are they need it way more than you know. Dad, miss and love you. And with that, that is a wrap. Y'all have a great one. Adios.